Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is chapter 10. This is going to be kind of a quick chapter. It's pretty simple because I want to keep things real world. We have lineups and other means of pretrial identification. So, lineup is a procedure used a long time ago when there were really not enough digital photography. They used to, especially bigger cities would have access. You have to think of the logistical difficulty of finding 5 people that look similar to the person that you have. So let's say you had a white male like me in his early 20s, right? And you wanted to see if I could be picked out of a lineup as a suspect. I am a suspect you think might have committed a crime, and me, like most criminals, lie and say, I didn't do it, so you need to prove that I did. You can't just say, put me in front of the witness who might have seen it a couple of months ago and say, hey, is this the person that did it? That's not going to work. You need to put me in a lineup or a photo array. So we're going to go with back in the day, you had to do a lineup. We don't use lineups anymore. That's live people. Can you imagine how hard it is to find 5 or 6 people that look like me to be able to stand next to me and for them to try to pick me out? So it's really easy just to run through either the booking database. If you got somebody wearing an orange jumpsuit, well, you don't need to put them, the only person in an orange jumpsuit, and everybody else in, we'll say, their regular civilian attire in their driver's license photo. So if you have an orange jumpsuit photo, just use 5 other people who look like me in an orange jumpsuit. If you have a regular driver's license photo, then just use 5 other driver's license photos. It's that simple. So we don't use lineups anymore. Lineups need an attorney present. We don't use them, so you don't have to worry about having an attorney present. We use photo lineups or photo array, so I'm going to call it photo lineup. So print out 6 pictures of 6 similar looking people. If you'll look at the real lineup that I have on the chapter 10 PowerPoint, actually this is from ones that I actually did. The first one involving the females. One of the persons in those pictures was a suspect who actually got in big trouble for methamphetamine and counterfeiting. So it was a real lineup. You'll see there's 6 similarly looking white females, and if you jump to the next picture, there's 6 similarly looking white males. And when I ask my students, say pick the bad girl, well they'll pick all over the place. But when I say pick the bad guy, and they say all of them, apparently they all look like criminals. Anyway, take a look at it. That's all you need. But we don't use lineups where people show up anymore. If a lineup is completed, you need an attorney present if they have been formally charged. If they have not been formally charged, you don't need one. But again, we don't use it, so don't worry about it. But lineups, formally charged. A photo lineup, no attorney is ever needed, even if they have been formally charged. It is a good idea to record it. It's also a good idea, a practice that I think is very effective is to, like I worked in plainclothes or detectives with the state police in the gaming enforcement section. So what's a good idea is, let's say I have a case, I just grab another detective and say, hey, give this person this lineup. You don't know anything about the case, so you don't even know who the bad guy is, so you can't suggest in any way because you don't even know. And then if that's the case, there's really no way for them to suggest. But I also strongly recommend video recording it. So, we call it the fat finger. Hey, do you see the person who might have done this? And you're pointing at a specific picture. That's obviously unduly suggestive, and you basically tainted any identification by that witness for the entire case. Okay. We've talked about the right to counsel, and we have to understand that if someone is in a lineup or a photo array, it is incriminating information. But remember, the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination only applies to testimonial evidence. You can't make somebody confess, be a witness against themselves. You can't say, hey, you better confess or I'm going to hit you with this phone book. You better confess or we're going to give you the death penalty, so forth and so on. That's not allowed. But what they look like is not testimonial evidence. It's just what they look like. So if you have clothes that may be matched to them, you can force them to, or you can get a search warrant to go look for those clothes that you might see in a video, or get them to pose for a photograph by court order to be able to use photogrammetry and find out, and measure them, get their exact height. Is that, if you look at a gas station, you'll see as they walk out, there's these lines. Well, those lines are there for a reason. When the video camera takes a picture as they leave, or even the clerk looks, they can say, hey, where did he pass on the line? Is he 5'5"? Is he 5'6"? Is he 6'5", 6 foot even? So that's methods to be able to identify somebody. But again, that's not testimonial evidence, so it has no Fifth Amendment protection. Suspects can be forced to do different things in a lineup, like get blood samples. Again, that would be under court order or under a search warrant, submit to a polygraph, handwriting samples, fingerprinting, and repeat certain words or gestures. And you heard me just say that applies to testimonial evidence. Well, repeating a certain gesture is not testimonial evidence. It's actually analysis, a voice analysis, whether it's computer analysis or just maybe the suspect heard what, like put the money in the bag, but they were wearing a mask. Well, okay, well, they know the voice, but they don't know what the person looks like. So forcing someone to say by law, by court order or search warrant, hey, put the money in the bag and recording it, that's not testimonial evidence, and that can be required in a lineup. So there's a big difference between a show up and a lineup. So remember, I think I told this story before. Red jogging pants and white T-shirt. Had a report of a black male, red jogging pants, white T-shirt, pull a gun on a guy, and then run away. And we ended up catching him, found the gun. But when did we get probable cause to actually arrest him? Was when we did a show up. When we found the gun, and then we brought the victim over and said, hey, is this the person who did it? Now, it's very suggestive. It's like, hey, we got a guy in the back of a patrol car, and did he do it? It's like saying, yeah, this is the guy that did it. I just need you to, we're kind of talking him into it. But that's a procedure, and it can only be done in close proximity to the crime. I would say no more than an hour, 2 hours tops. If it's any more than that, then throw a photo lineup together, and photo lineups don't take very long. But this happened. We were able to bring the guy over within 10, 15 minutes and say, hey, is this the person who pulled the gun on you in your backyard? And of course he said it was. So that's called a show up, one-on-one, face-to-face. Yeah, that's the guy that did it. Or this is the guy that just stole the peanut butter out of my store, or whatever he stole. So that's the difference between a show up and a lineup. Show up is one-on-one. A lineup, whether it's in person or on a photo, is basically an array of 6 photographs. One of them being the suspect, not the person who did it, but the suspect, because you think it's the person who did it, but you say it's the suspect. And even when you do a photo lineup, you say, hey, this could be the person, or you do a show up. Hey, we don't know if this is the guy or not. Just look at him and honestly tell us, is this the person who did this? And I've had a lot of people who say, yeah, that's the person who did it. And I've had sometimes they just say, look, I don't know, I'm not sure, I can't definitively identify one. So you just, say, hey, we interviewed this person, it goes in the report, it's actually exculpatory evidence that has to be disclosed. Say, look, this person couldn't identify the person who did it, and this person saw the person. So, a defense attorney would want to know that information, it has to be included. We talked about photo ID. Okay, I told you this one was going to be very quick, and it was, so make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, and that's it for Chapter 10. I'll see you in Chapter 11. Thanks.